Well, because this is the heart-to-heart convention, not surprisingly, we're going to do a product training on the heart and the cardiovascular system. We are going to be covering a tremendous amount of information. So I'm going to go very quickly through these slides. So I would advise on some of them, you take a picture because there's going to be a lot of links, and there was just simply no way to fit all of this information on single slides. So fair warning. Okay, now when we're going to talk about the heart, and we're going to take a look at what can we do to prevent or reverse cardiovascular disease, we need to have a mindset about this. How are we going to be thinking about it? So to think about heart disease, I'd like you to think about the Titanic. All right, we're off to a bad start. Guys, I know you were looking up here and you weren't looking at your wife or your girlfriend. And by the way, when I refer to a woman, I'm referring to a person with ovaries, okay? Just so we can all be clear. Okay, or whatever they're called. But yeah, if you if you looked at your wife or your girlfriend, I guarantee they were just thinking of the movie Titanic, right? They're thinking about the movie Titanic, not what we're going to be talking about, and they're like, oh my God, I love that movie, right? It's so sweet, it's so romantic. And every guy in here, correct me if I'm wrong, was thinking, I hate that movie. It's horrible. Because every guy in here knows that if he was on the Titanic, he would have been the one hanging off the edge of the ship as it's about to go into the water, and he was in a tuxedo because you wanted to get dressed up that night. All right? That's why we don't like the movie Titanic. But no, when it comes to heart disease, what we want to think about is that the iceberg is way out there, and that's heart disease. And we need to be able to see and predict that, okay, at some point in the future, because heart disease is still the #1 killer, we want to enact prevention today. So just like, okay, we see the iceberg out there, we need to slow down, we need to make a turn so we can avoid the accident. We don't want to go to a doctor and then have the doctor tell us, okay, well, you've got heart disease, now we have to get you ready for surgery, we have to put you on medication. You don't want to wait to that point. You have to say, okay, at some point after the age of 30, your risk of heart disease is going to go up each year, and it is completely preventable, and it's completely reversible. So let's talk about how we're going to do that. And of course, like everything that we do when we do LifeWave Connect, when we do these webinars, there's going to be plenty of references, so it's going to be based on clinical literature and also practical experience. Okay, so the first thing, let's talk a little bit about the human heart. It's actually very interesting in the sense that we normally think of the heart as being a pump, right? We're going to be pumping blood, and of course it does that, but the majority of the energy is actually used for warming the blood. So when we're thinking about some things we think we might know about the cardiovascular system, it's interesting to step back and say, well, sometimes we may not know everything that we thought. Another very interesting thing about the human heart is that it has an extremely powerful energy field. And it's measurable with something called the squid magnetometer. It's a superconducting magnetic device that was invented back in the 1960s. And this energy field around the human heart is about 100 times more powerful than the field produced by the brain. So we can use these techniques to quantify and measure the electromagnetic system around the heart and the brain, and also look at the shape of these fields. We'll talk about that in just a second. It's called magnetocardiography. And what's important about this is that the shape of the field, if it changes in a detrimental way based off of a standard, we can predict heart disease many, many years before you actually have a problem. It's similar to medical infrared imaging. Medical infrared imaging can detect vascularization of breast tissue, as an example, years before a woman gets breast cancer. So this allows us to come up with strategies to reverse this pathology before it becomes a serious problem. So these are very, very important tools. Now, of course, we're going to associate the emotion of love with the heart. So what is the relationship between spirituality and the heart? And normally we might think of this as being something esoteric, but I don't really think so. I think things that are esoteric, mystical, are really a science that hasn't been discovered yet. So let me show you what I mean by this. The Old Testament, of course in Christianity, it's all kind of relative. In Christianity, the book of Genesis is in the Old Testament, and then of course there's the New Testament after the birth of Christ. So in the Old Testament, let's say we were going to take a look at, it was written of course in Hebrew, New Testament was written in Greek, and the interesting thing about both of those languages is that each letter in those alphabets can be converted into a numerical value. So let's say that we're talking about the heart. What is the Hebrew word for heart? It's lev. Okay, doesn't seem like much so far. But if we convert lev over to a number, we come up with the number 32. Okay, what do we know about the number 32? Well, first, it's a number that's known for balance and harmony and peace, like you might expect. Nothing unusual there. But if we look at the King James Bible, and the reason I'm going to use this version is because many people consider it to be mathematically pure and the inspired word of God. So if we were to look at it this way, right? So let's say if there really is a God and creator, then you would expect that God would be the best mathematician, physicist, biochemist that ever existed, and God would leave a signature someplace. So when we look at the Bible, if it really is the inspired word of God, then there should be a mathematical code there, a fingerprint that God left behind. So what's interesting is that the word heart in Hebrew, of course, appeared 765 times. Now, I like to play around with math and look for patterns. So when you're going to invent something and you want to create something new, you make observations about systems, especially living systems, and then you see, are there any type of patterns that we can follow? And the interesting thing is that if you take that 765 and you add each number individually, and you keep doing that until we get a number between 0 and 9, 9 means fulfillment. Okay, interesting. What else can we say? Okay, now let's just use the first 5 books of the Old Testament. So what I thought was, okay, let's take the number of times the word heart appears in the Old Testament. So you can see here in book of Genesis, 11 times, Exodus 37 times, and so forth. It appears exactly 100 times. Now, if you take the number of times it appears and then divide it by 32, the numerical value of heart, then you get those numbers in that last column, and then you add them up, and you get 3.125. Okay. Let's do the same thing now, and what we'll do is we'll take the number of times that it appears instead of individually but in passages, then it's 92 times, and if you add them up, it's 2.875. Doesn't seem like anything yet. However, if we take the number of times the word appears, add the number of passages, it equals 6. To get the average is 3, And then in the Bible, the number 3 represents God's presence in something. So we start to see something here, that the word heart can be distilled through a series of mathematical calculations down to a number which represents God's involvement. So anytime you see the number 3 in the Bible, it always means God is involved in something. Okay, maybe you're not convinced yet. Let's take the number of times that it appears in the passages: 100 plus 92, 192, 1 plus 9 plus 2 equals 12, 1 plus 2 equals 3. God's involvement again. Let's take the number of times the word appears plus the number of passages. 192 divided by 2 is 96. 96 equals 32, which is the number for the heart, multiplied by 3, which is God's involvement. There are 426 verses in the Bible with the word 3. 4 plus 2 plus 6 equals 12. 1 plus 2 equals 3. God's involvement. You getting the point? Okay. I'm going to tell you why this matters, is because when you come back next year, you're going to see how we use these formulas and equations to create new technology that reverses human aging. Okay, that's a spoiler. Okay, so what's an example of how we can apply this? Well, actually, I have a patent. There's a whole series of patents on pulsed electromagnetic field therapy. And one of the things that we did was we took an electronic stethoscope and we put it over the 4 chambers of the heart. And then we took that signal and we put it through a signal generator, we put it through an amplifier, and we fed that back through this coil. So this electromagnetic field that was external to the body was beating with the human heart. It's a little bit complicated, so what that means is it's not something you'd really have in your home and you could use it that way. But what we were doing with this was regenerating nerve damage, peripheral nerve damage, and we found it to be very, very effective. So there's actually ways that we can take this math and apply it in the real world to heal. All right, now let's talk about the enemy. Let's talk about heart disease. And of course, what we want to do is understand first what is the problem that we're trying to tackle here. So we know that atherosclerosis is going to be a thickening of the arterial walls, stiffening of the arteries over time, accumulation of plaque, reduced blood flow. And this is something which is not inevitable, but if you're dealing with this problem now, we want to, or if you're interested in preventing it, then the question is, what is it that we need to do, and how did you get into that circumstance in the first place? And unfortunately, let's see if this is not working, unfortunately. Or is it? Ah, there we go. With current medical treatments, so you go see your medical doctor. Doctor says, well, you have clogged arteries, essentially, and so you're a candidate for bypass surgery. We have to put you on drugs. Maybe you're going to get put on statins, which have undesirable side effects. And it's unlikely, because I'm not knocking medical doctors. Most don't get the training that they need to look at putting one of their patients on an exercise program, on diet and nutrition, the value of supplements. They just simply most don't get trained in those disciplines. So they're going to recommend what they are taught in medical school, which is going to be surgery and drugs. So this, of course, is what this looks like if you essentially look at a pipe, and then the inner diameter of that pipe gets smaller and smaller over time. There's going to be reduced blood flow, and then ultimately, of course, blood flow is blocked entirely, and this is something we absolutely have to avoid, because that could result in a heart attack or a stroke. So, of course, there's current treatments for heart disease, as we already talked about. And these things are fine if someone needs surgery, if it's life-threatening, then maybe there's not time to reverse the condition, but the whole idea behind this is we don't want to get to that point in the first place. So of course, the problem with this approach is that someone goes to see their doctor and it's already too late. The medical doctor is not thinking about necessarily prevention. Not most of them. You have medical doctors, of course, that are clinical nutritionists, they're acupuncturists as well, and they're going to be looking at these therapies. So I'm definitely not knocking medical doctors. This is more a commentary on the system of indoctrination in medical school, of what is lacking. So again, we can use an analogy behind this. It's like, do you want to go to see a mechanic and get an oil change, get new tires, get these things taken care of as preventatives, or do you want to wait until your engine seizes and you've run out of oil, or your tires go bald before you start to correct it? Okay, the choice is pretty obvious, is that we want to do the preventative maintenance on the human body so we don't end up in this situation. So, a little bit of a disclaimer first. I am not a medical doctor. I'm not giving medical advice. We don't claim that our products treat, cure, or mitigate any disease in human beings or animals. And these recommendations are for you to simply say, wow, this is very, very interesting research. I need to take this research to my healthcare practitioner so they can recommend what will work for me in my situation. Is that fair? Come on. Is that fair? All right. Fantastic. Great. Okay. So let's look at some of the causes first of heart disease. Most of these are going to be pretty self-evident. We're going to start with lack of exercise. And a good reason to start with this is that the clinical data is overwhelmingly positive that exercise is better than any type of pharmaceutical drug when it comes to preventing and reversing heart disease, bar none. So any strategy that is going to include preventing or reversing heart disease by default has to include some type of exercise. It can be if you have some weight to lose, it can be just something as simple as walking, getting the body moving, starting off slow and working up, and then preferably doing combination of resistance training and cardio. Lack of proper nutrition is obvious. If you saw that movie Super Size Me, where the guy was eating McDonald's 3 times a day, after like 2 weeks, he was practically dead. Right? So we have to be thinking about our nutrition. What are we putting in our bodies? That's absolutely critical. The natural aging process. Our body is going to be a little bit more prone to detrimental effects from aging. And so this is why techniques to reverse the human aging process are so very necessary, because we can use it as a way to mitigate serious disease. Genetics, of course, plays a role. Medications make people more likely to get heart disease or ironically die as a result of taking the medication. And then, of course, physical and emotional stress. Okay. Here's an interesting study on exercise. We won't go through the whole thing now in the interest of time. But basically what this says is that if you're exercising, either doing low intensity or high intensity, you're going to be significantly reducing your risk of cardiovascular disease. And again, no surprise there. VO2 max. So VO2 max refers to the ability of our muscles to use oxygen. How effectively do we take oxygen that's in the blood and then turn it over into usable work? The better the VO2 max, the healthier the cardiovascular system, right? And that inherently is going to make sense. But what's also really important here as a concept is that if you were to take the population and you were look at a scale of people that were terribly out of shape, that were in a disease state, and then people that were Olympic athletes, what happens is that if you move people from the very low end, even up into the middle range, you are significantly reducing that person's risk of having a heart attack or stroke. So what this means is that when we're thinking about mindset on this, what type of goals do you have to set in terms of exercise? You don't have to think in terms of, I've got to exercise like a professional athlete or an Olympic athlete in order to be completely healthy. No, that's not it at all. What it means is that if you're getting yourself into a reasonable degree of shape, each step that you take in the right direction is going to continue to reverse your odds of getting a serious event like a heart attack or stroke. So these things are obviously really important. Okay, I think we've kind of covered this a little bit, but I want you to take a look at the very last sentence there. The summary hazard ratio for mortality, comparing the slowest with the fastest quarter of walking speed, was 2.87. So this is a remarkable reduction in risk of heart disease. Okay, so the bottom line here is anytime you're going to make a serious change in your diet, in your exercise, you want to be guided by your healthcare practitioner because they're going to know what's best for your specific situation, especially if you have a pre-existing condition. So if you don't have training in this, definitely work with a trained healthcare practitioner. Okay, so let's take one more look at this so we know what we're dealing with, but this is a pretty good picture of what happens over time. So for people that are young and healthy, arterial wall looks normal, there's no accumulation of plaque, and then over time, this plaque will accumulate. There's a whole variety of reasons, by the way, for why this happens, but suffice it to say that it does. So there's early warning signs. That's a good thing. Now, guys, I have bad news for you and kind of good news. The good news is that if you have erectile dysfunction, it's an early warning sign of heart disease, so you can go ahead and do something. The bad news is, I'm sorry to hear you have erectile dysfunction. But that's something, it's a little bit, we refer to it as the canary in the coal mine. That is about 60% of the time, it is going to be a symptom of cardiovascular disease. So another percentage of time, let's say it's psychological, but the majority of the time, it's an early sign that there's heart disease. Of course, poor circulation. If you're having problem with your extremities, they're getting cold, that's going to be an indication that the cardiovascular system isn't doing what it's supposed to. High blood pressure, of course, is fairly obvious, chest pain, and so forth. So, and by default, as the amount of weight that you have around your waist increases, further risk of heart disease, diabetes, and cancer. So the good news is that there's warning signs here, and we don't have to really guess as to whether or not we're prone. The other way to look at this, too, is that as we get over the age of 30, 35, we should be proactively engaged in proper exercise, diet, nutritional supplements, patches, to reduce our risk of having a heart attack or stroke as much as possible. Okay, so then how would we characterize some of these things? And the reason why this is important is that if we can, like when I'm looking to invent something, I want to create a detailed map of the problem to define the problem. Because if you can't articulate, if you can't define the problem, then how are you going to come up with a solution? So in things like age reversal, you want to understand what is really going inside the cell. We can look at mitochondrial function. We can look at the potential, the electrical potential around the cell. There's epigenetic changes that occur, so changes in gene expression. The ability of the cell to detoxify. We look at the phase angle around the cell membrane. These and other measures are an important way to define the aging process. So as we define the aging process, then we can look at each one and say, okay, how exactly could I go about enhancing mitochondrial function? And then if we do that, what effect is that going to have on gene expression over time? And ultimately, is that going to result in lengthening telomeres? Is it going to result in beneficial changes in gene expression? And then so ultimately, do we see reversal of the age of the cell? And this is actually a relatively long process. We were doing a study, I don't know if I should say this. What the heck. We were doing a study on to see if any of our patches would lengthen telomeres. And what we found is that if we looked at 3 months post using this patch, you couldn't see any change in the telomeres. But at 6 months, you began to see those changes. In age reversal, you have to go about 6 to 9 months of using a product before we actually start to see beneficial changes in gene expression. So some of these changes are going to show up in a relatively short period of time. There are effects which we can measure in the metabolism of the cell by doing blood and urine testing that will show up within minutes, bioelectrical tests that show up within less than 1 minute, but then other things are going to be much, much longer, 6 to 9 months. So it's important that we look at these things from the point of view of you start on an exercise program, you start taking supplements, you start using patches. There's going to be effects that you're going to see immediately, like reduction in pain, improvement in range of motion. There's going to be other effects that will show up over a period of a few weeks, such as 3 to 6 weeks, improvements in cognition. And then there's other effects yet that are going to show up over a period of many months. So it's important to be very, very consistent with these programs. Don't start a program and then a week or two later stop because you didn't think something worked the way that you wanted it to. This is about, a lifetime commitment to health and wellness. Okay. So how could we go about then reversing heart disease? Let's get right to it. And we want to do this, of course, as natural a means as possible and hopefully avoid surgery and avoid medications. Okay, so we're going to skip through this one very quickly with exercise, but needless to say, there is a direct correlation between human aging and strength and stamina. The correlation is extremely clear that if you want to have a long health span and stay healthy and strong for as long a period of time, you must exercise. There's no other way to go about it, because if you're in your 70s and you're not exercising and you've had significant sarcopenia, reduction in muscle mass, that's also going to translate into a reduction in bone density. And then, of course, the first time you fall, you may have an accident that you may or may not recover from, and that recovery is going to take a long period of time. You may see something next year that will solve that problem. I think that's a fair tease. Okay. So, talk to your doctor about starting slow. Get into a program that is going to work for your lifestyle. Don't try to, become an Olympic athlete your first week. All right, start off slow and then make progression. It can be something as simple as walking 20 or 30 minutes a couple of times a week. If you want to get a little bit more aggressive, then start doing Tabatas, which are phenomenal. And definitely get into resistance training. Again, it doesn't have to be anything complicated. It can be body weight exercises to start, and then hopefully you're going to be weight training. By the way, a very interesting study that was done in Russia on lifting very, very heavy weights in a static hold. It found that when you're going to do an exercise like a static squat or a static bench press with heavy weight, the pressure from the weight put on the bone causes stem cells in the bones to come out into the blood and the lymphatic system. So this exercise, as it turns out, especially heavy resistance training, is a way to increase the number of circulating stem cells in the body. Okay. Now, LifeWave patches, this combination of X39 and X49 was talked about a little bit before, and you can find this study in our back office, so we're just going to skip through it quickly now. But basically, when you're embarking on an exercise program, you want to make sure that you're getting adequate protein in your diet several times per day. Especially, you need to be acutely activating mTOR. So mTOR is what's turning on muscle protein synthesis, and so you want to have about depending on your age, about 3 to 4 grams of the amino acid leucine in that protein serving. So if you're a vegan or a vegetarian, your protein source is going to be lower in leucine. If you're consuming things like whey protein, red meat, you're going to have a higher amount of leucine. But you could be consuming 20 or 30 grams of protein, and if you don't have enough leucine, you're not turning on muscle protein synthesis, and you're not going to be building new muscle, even if you're exercising and you think you're eating right. But when you use a tool like the patches, it's going to dramatically increase the rate at which you're going to improve your strength and stamina. Okay, and here's some other figures here of X49 only versus the combination of the two. And there's a really nice study about this in our back office. Okay. And the really nice thing about this is that X39 and X49 complement one another. X39, I used to be able to say this. I'm not technically supposed to say this anymore. So I think what I can say is that X39 works on the entire body and X49 is more selective, right? But the bottom line is that it'll make you leaner and stronger. Okay, and this is an example of a 74-year-old on the before and after. Okay, let's keep things moving here. And let's talk about nutrition, hardening or stiffening of the arteries. Okay, vitamin D. There was a age reversal study that I saw recently that involved 5 different substances. One was zinc, the other was vitamin D. Another one was growth hormone. Another compound that was used was metformin. But in any case, the reason I bring this up is that it was shown that through the combination of these materials over a period of 9 months, the average reduction in human age was 6.5 years. So vitamin D should not be underestimated. 50,000 IUs of vitamin D daily, which is only to be used for a short period of time, and if you have a problem with your kidneys, you shouldn't take this much. And you should always do this under the advice of your healthcare practitioner. But vitamin D at 50,000 IUs per day has been used successfully for treating cancer. 50,000 IUs of vitamin D daily has been used successfully to push viruses out of the body. And that information would be helpful for people to know, but unfortunately, some of the powers that be want to suppress freedom of speech and not let you know that. But of course, 3,000, 5,000, 10,000 IUs of vitamin D daily is safe for most people, and unequivocally this is shown to improve the elasticity of the arteries. Okay, what about accumulation of plaque? This is a big one. If you go see your medical doctor and they've had conventional training, one of the things they're going to say is that there's nothing you can do to remove arterial plaque, and that is just absolutely false. Very simple materials have been demonstrated in clinical studies, and there's a whole list of studies there that you can reference, have been successful at removing arterial plaque over a period of time. Generally, in these studies, you see that they last about 6 to 9 months. But even simple substances like an extract of garlic, pomegranate extract, the enzyme in pomegranates, has been shown to digest arterial plaque and improve blood flow. Especially pomegranate extract is so interesting because a study that was done, which was posted by Life Extension, had shown that individuals that took a pomegranate extract over a period of 9 months were able to avoid bypass surgery. So these are the type of things that we're interested in. Vitamin K, MK7, and MK4 are other materials that are known to remove arterial plaque. So this notion that we age and there's nothing that we can do to improve the health of our heart is just absolute nonsense. Okay. Oh, one other thing I wanted to bring up was omega-3s. So, of course, often when we think of omega-3s and their value, what we're thinking about is that we take the omega-3 orally and it will prevent plaque from sticking to the arterial walls. Well, here was an interesting study just recently that was showing that injections of omega-3s could prevent heart disease entirely. The author of that study, by the way, insinuated that this could reverse heart disease, but they didn't want to go that far. But there was data in the study to actually show that. All right, how about reduced blood flow? This is an important one because if you're someone sitting here today and you have you've neglected your body for a long period of time and you already have this problem, what you're going to be thinking about is something like, okay, I have high blood pressure through restricted blood flow as a result of having accumulation of arterial plaque. My doctor has told me if I don't change, I'm going to be a candidate for bypass surgery. So what do I do? Okay, so let's take a look at this. Nitric oxide, okay? There's any number of different ways of elevating nitric oxide. There's a whole host of things. Many studies have actually shown that beets are one of the best ways, compared to supplementation, of naturally elevating nitric oxide. Pycnogenol, which is a pine bark extract, is another good way to do it. And for kind of like a 1-2 punch here, the combination of garlic and vitamin C has been shown to increase nitric oxide levels by about 300% over baseline. So you get the benefit of reducing the arterial plaque and improving blood flow all in the same combination of using those two. There's another one that's really good, which is black ginger extract. That's something from Thailand. It's relatively uncommon, but you can get it. And that does a great job of improving nitric oxide and blood flow. And these are things that go to work immediately, by the way. They'll also, not surprisingly, many of those things, because they're elevating nitric oxide, people will see almost an immediate reduction in their blood pressure. So this brings up another question. If there is an accumulation of arterial plaque, then there's going to be damage to the endothelial lining. What do we do about that? I wanted to mention this one enzyme specifically, which is nattokinase. Now, nattokinase is it's a natural enzyme, and it's found in fermented soy. And very quickly, this was discovered in Japan. And what was found was that people that were consuming natto had a much lower risk of heart disease than a control population. And so it was quickly found that nattokinase was the active compound. Well, sure enough, if you take nattokinase, it will improve blood flow, it will prevent and reverse heart disease, but nattokinase more recently has been shown to digest viruses like those that are related to COVID. Oh, I guess I can't say that. Okay. It rhymes with a virus that rhymes with Schmovid. All right. So that's an important one. So one of the things, as an example, that you could include in your daily regimen, which would be for everyone, no matter how good a shape you're in, is nattokinase. And the reason for that is that it will help to reduce your risk of heart attack, reduce your risk of stroke, improve blood flow, reduce your risk of neuropathy, and eventually we're all going to get COVID again because this is going to be around forever now. But the good thing is that we can adopt strategies that prevent us from showing any symptoms, right? You guys do know that they're putting the mRNA vaccine in food now, right? And in animals and that kind of stuff. Yeah, so we need to be thinking about these things that when they're not telling us they're in food and it's going to get into our bodies, what can we do to destroy the spike protein? So fortunately, God and nature have already provided solutions for us. We just need to go out and use them. Okay. So let's look at inflammatory stress. Another thing that, of course, works very, very well for COVID is NAC, and it actually works so well that here in the United States, the FDA tried to take it off the market, and it's a, relatively speaking, a natural compound. But not surprisingly, anything that is going to reduce inflammatory stress in the body, which would be antioxidants, coenzyme Q10, NAC, vitamin C, for serious cases of heart disease, 10 grams up to 70 grams IV of vitamin C is used. And then something that's very, very successful at treating cancer as well as heart disease is the combination of DMSO and curcumin by IV or taking it orally. Okay, then for high blood pressure, this is, of course, it's a big one and actually has a very, very easy solution. The first thing that I want to mention is the combination of taurine and magnesium. Any of the recommendations that we showed before on elevating nitric oxide are going to work at helping to reduce blood pressure. But the clinical studies on taurine show that it's more effective than pharmaceutical drugs at lowering blood pressure. And it's a common amino acid. The other thing about taurine, this is something that we study in our lab and we devote research to because it appears, based on human data now, that if you want to extend your lifespan and also stay younger in the process, you should be supplementing with taurine. Animal studies and human studies are starting to indicate that it could be a 20 to 25% increase in lifespan using taurine. And I think what we'd say is that the mechanism of action is not entirely well understood. But the short-term benefits of taurine are really enormous. They're going to improve cognition, improve the health of the heart, and for men, they can also play a role in supporting healthy testosterone levels. So there's many good reasons for using taurine, but it will at doses of, let's say, 2 to 4 grams daily, and I wouldn't take it all at once. It will drop blood pressure very, very rapidly. Magnesium, of course, is another one and should be a staple. Magnesium threonate, magnesium citrate, magnesium glycinate especially. Those are all really great options for managing blood pressure. Okay, now what about the patches? I know you've been waiting for this part. Yeah, so we've had, of course, a number of changes in the way we make claims, but what we're going to talk about are studies that we've done that you can find in the back office. And since 2005, we've been doing clinical studies on our patches using techniques like heart rate variability to look at what are the effects of the patches on the heart. Oh, by the way, I should probably mention my patch protocol today. X39 on the back of the neck, X49 below the belly button. I've got a set of energy patches on kidney 1 on the bottom of my feet, and of course, I have patches on heart 3 on my elbows. So I wanted to patch the heart meridian since we're talking about heart to heart. So we have done studies on X39 as well as our other patches at improving the health of the heart. And it happens very, very quickly. With X39 in as little about 6 weeks, we see measurable improvements. Now, there's this little thing called copper peptide. And as it turns out, if you go take a look at the research that Dr. Lauren Picard has done since the late 1960s, there is a very strong correlation between levels of copper peptide in the body and the health of the heart, and of course, longevity. And these effects are directly attributed to the ability of copper peptide to have favorable gene expression. Okay, and that's an example of one of the studies. Now, we've also done studies, as I mentioned, on energy enhancer. This one was done by Homer Nazaran, a biomedical engineer at the time at the University of Texas in El Paso, but with techniques like heart rate variability, which measures the ratio of muscle contractions between the chambers of the heart, low frequency and high frequency muscle contractions. We can see the effects of our product on the autonomic nervous system. So if we can get the body into a more relaxed state, that's going to have a favorable change on heart rate variability, and ultimately that'll show as an improvement in the health of the heart. Sorry, I've got to keep moving here. I'm a little bit behind. This is another study by Tom Budzinski, and again, you can get this in your back office, and it's showing very, very similar benefits. Now, carnosine is stored in the brain and the heart and the muscles. It's for anyone that has a problem with their eyes, there are carnosine drops that you can take. So if you have high blood pressure and now you're having a problem with your vision, you should be thinking about carnosine. But you can actually, in Europe, it's prescribed as medication for the health of the eyes, and you can get it here now in the United States. But because carnosine is an antioxidant, it's an anti-inflammatory, what we found when we studied carnosine and heart health was that even within the first week, it was going to show very, very significant improvements in strength and stamina. So this is important because if you're getting started with a health and fitness routine, this can really jumpstart your results, and this will keep you motivated. You know, if you're going to see results as little as your very first week, the odds of you continuing are pretty high. Okay, and another important thing about carnosine, very, very interesting thing about this nutrient, well, two things. One that I will just say, this study was done by oral carnosine, is that it protects the telomeres from shortening. So in animal studies, in mice and rats, carnosine has been shown to increase lifespan by 35 to 40%. But even maybe more impressive is that the animals do not age until the very, very end of their lives. So it's like they stay 25, right up until the very end. The other thing about carnosine for athletes is that it's going to act as a buffer for lactic acid. So what that means is that when you're competing or exercising and trying to improve stamina, it's going to help set off that muscle burn and allow you to perform longer and better. Not surprisingly, Eon, because it's for stress reduction, is going to have a very, very favorable effect on the human heart. So this is all to say that there are any number of patches that we sell that have favorable, beneficial effects on the heart, but through different mechanisms. So, work with your practitioner on, or just try things and see which product is going to be right for you, which is going to be the best one to use for yourself. But I would always recommend starting with X39 and then going from there, since the effects are so broad. So the bottom line on this is speak with your doctor first and work with your healthcare practitioner at putting together a program that makes sense for you. And think about these things in terms of long-term benefits, not that you're going to do it for a month or 2 months. Really be looking at the big picture. Also, be thinking about, why is it that you're going to be doing this? Think about the people in your life that love you and that you love, and you want to be in their lives for as long as possible. And so you're only going to be able to do that if you're around and you're healthy. So, be thinking about these things for motivation. And then I think lastly, what has been proved definitively is that when we live in a state of anger, aggression, stress, it elevates oxidative stress in the body, it elevates inflammatory stress, and it is going to be a contributor to heart disease. On the other hand, it has been absolutely proven in studies that when we live in a state of love, it reduces stress in the body and it reduces our risk of disease. So let's be thankful for what we have. Let's love one another, put aside our hatred and anger, and make this planet a true paradise to live in. Thank you for your time, and I'm looking forward to seeing you all back tomorrow. Thank you.
I felt like I just left a biochemistry class in college. Absolutely phenomenal to hear from a great mind like David Schmidt. Isn't that amazing? I mean, I know you've clapped for him already, but in late August, I had the opportunity to meet a phenomenal couple, a couple who is sharing LifeWave's products and building like very few others at the moment. They're amazing in so many ways, including this. Last night, I reached out to them just to talk a little bit about today, and this morning I got a text and it said, "I'm sorry, we were too busy. We had a number of events, we were sharing LifeWave, we were doing all these things." That's a good reason not to get back in touch with me, so absolutely love it. This couple is phenomenal. Would you please join me in welcoming to the stage Mike and Sahi Hernandez.
How's everybody doing? Woo! My goodness, we're excited to be here. Woo! We already lost 5 seconds. All right, sit down. Let's get right to it. They only gave us a couple of minutes, guys. Hey, first of all, I just want to say I thank God Almighty for all the blessings, all the favor, and all the things He's done for us in our lives. I want to thank God for David Schmidt. I thank God for LifeWave. I thank God for Steve and Gina Merritt, our sponsors. And my goodness, guys, we're excited to be here. So first of all, my name is Mike Hernandez. This is my beautiful wife, Sai. And they asked us to come out here and give a little bit of a product testimony. All right, you ready? Life-changing. Now we have another 4 minutes. We have anything to do? No. Guys, real quick, we want to share a little bit of our story. And we have to go through this really, really quickly. So my wife said, speak, because we don't have that much time. And
he speaks fast, so he'll get a lot in.
So first of all, guys, I met my wife when she was 12 and I was 15. I'm not going to get into those details right now. Don't look at me weird. All right? We got together when she was 18. I'm sorry, when she was 15 and I was 18. At that point, I have no excuses. But we're both high school dropouts. And I feel really, really bad for the people who are translating me because I speak really fast. So basically, we're both high school dropouts. She dropped out in 10th grade. I dropped out in 10th grade. I never even got my GED. She got her GED. So together, we don't even have a full diploma, right? So, and I make it a thing to say this, guys, because I love what this industry has done. We first learned about this industry back in 2006 when we met Steve and Gina Merritt, and we were exposed to this beautiful industry. And they didn't know this by the time, but we were so broke. Remember, we have no education. Guys, we were so broke at the time that in order to make extra income, because I've always been an entrepreneur, and I never thought this would be part of my introduction, we were picking up garbage and selling it at a swap shop. Our parents were working for, wealthy people, cleaning houses, and in these big, beautiful communities, they put out garbage, and we saw stuff that had value. We found a way to sell it at a swap shop, and this is how we were making extra income. High school dropouts selling garbage. We learned about this industry, learned everything we've learned from Steve and Gina Merritt, and guys, we were able to earn multiple millions of dollars with our first company ever exposed to this industry. Now, that being said, after all that success, we wanted nothing to do with this industry. Absolutely nothing. When Steve called me, I was like, hey, no way, anything but that. But when we tried these products out, oh my goodness, we can't go into details. You guys know these products were life-changing. My wife looked at me and said, we got to be crazy. The word was stupid if we don't get involved. We decided to get involved, and it's just been a wild, wild ride. We are having just the most amazing success. In our first company, it took us about 3 years to hit 7 figures. And this is no income claims, guys, because nothing is promised to anybody. But the opportunity is there for the same for everyone, right? It took us over 3 years to get 7 figures in this company. We did it a little bit under 14 months, thank God Almighty, right? But guys, here's what I do want to tell you, all right? Really, really quickly, because I know there's been some changes, right? And I love that there's some changes going on right now, because God knows I want to protect this company. And also, God knows I'm not the smartest guy in the room, so I can't compare to some of the presentations that you guys do. So thank God we can't be that smart right now, right? Thank God that we're going to be able to dumb it down a little bit. And here's the thing, truth be told, I'm going to tell you, and I'm going to even say it in front of David, I'm not going to change my spiel. I'm going to keep saying everything that we're saying. All right? We're just not going to say it in public. We're going to turn off the phones and everything. And here's what I've been saying it. I'm going to continue to say it. And this is what I say. David is an alien. All right? David is an alien. He's from another planet. He flew here in a drone. I seen it. All right? This is not just any kind of drone. You can actually breathe the exhaust, and it's cleaner than the air. I mean, people don't believe that. They're not going to believe anything else, right? But it's true, right? So another thing is that, the guy is like using biblical numeric codes to do it. I'm like, this is just out of this world. He's out of this world. What planet? I don't know. I know one thing, Venus, what is it, Mars? I know it's not Uranus because he doesn't use any pronouns. He doesn't use pronouns. I don't think David uses pronouns, right? But guys, here's the deal. I'm glad we're going to dumb it down, all right? Because here's the deal, guys. I'm a high school dropout, and I'm telling you how much money we're making. I don't understand anything about the science. I just know one thing. This thing works, all right? And I thank God I learned everything I learned from Steve and Gina Merritt. You know why? He negotiated his way out of high school. He told the teachers, if you don't pass me, I'm coming back, right? And this guy is crushing it. Steve hit senior presidential director in 23 days, yes. All right? All right? I'm a high school dropout, and we did it in about 10 weeks. Right? 8 years out of the industry. So here's the deal. Anybody here graduated? Clap your hands if you graduated, got a degree, whatever. All right. Listen. You can do it too. You can do it too. All right? You're just going to have to dumb it down, guys. Let's protect this company. This is God sent. 5 minutes go by so quick. Go ahead, baby.
No, guys, all I can tell you is that we're excited. You can tell, right? And the reason why we're excited is because we have a blessing in our hands that we can't be selfish. We got to go out there and share this with as many people as we can, and you're bound to see some results. You're going to see results, and that's going to give you the conviction, and it's going to give you that fire, and you're going to make it happen, guys, and let's do this. This is something that is blessing many people with their health and wealth, and what does everybody need in this world today? Health and wealth.
Guys. Listen, I don't know what you want out of life.
So let's go.
I don't know what you want out of life, guys, but let me tell you, you got a huge vehicle right now. Just get serious, get hardcore, guys. And listen, this is it. God bless you. We love you. Let's go.
Between Renita Brennan And Mike and Sahi Hernandez, I don't know about you, but there's so much energy. So much energy. The two of them, I can't believe he got that many words out in 5 minutes. Absolutely phenomenal. Our next speaker is the Global Vice President of Marketing at LifeWave. And he is a 15-year veteran of the direct sales industry. He has a ton of experience, not only in marketing, but specifically in strategy, product development, product management. He's had a successful track record of building and leading world-class teams and multiple $500 million a year companies. He has a passion for this industry for a number of reasons. He has seen it bless so many people, both in products and in business opportunity. Please put your hands together and welcome to the stage LifeWave's Vice President of Marketing, Jeff Hildebrandt.
Well, to start out, I have two thank yous to say. The first one is genuine, and the second one might be a little sarcastic. So first, to all of you, thank you. Thank you for all that you do. Thank you for who you are. You've built amazing businesses, and my family and I are so blessed because of what you do. So thank you. Now, for the sarcastic one, whoever put me in between David, the Hernandezes, and the professional speaker, Aaron King, thank you. I really, really appreciate being in this position. Well, in the ever-evolving worlds of brands and business, there's one thing that's constant, and that's change. Now, change can be a really good thing, or change can be a bad thing. And it kind of depends on how we handle it, right? So for those who embrace change, it can lead to innovation, and it can lead to growth. But for those brands and individuals who don't embrace change, it can become a stumbling block. So today I want to introduce you to a few brands who are able to embrace change and do really, really good things. And I want to share a few examples of brands that were not able to embrace change and some of the effects. And then I want to talk about the evolution of the LifeWave brand. And we're going to have some fun and look back at some amazing things like old packaging. So to start out, you probably recognize these three logos up here. These are the ones that have been successful. So let's talk about Apple. So Apple started out as a personal computer company. That was it. What if they had stopped there? But they didn't. In 2007, they introduced something. Does anyone know what happened in 2007 that really changed the game? The iPhone. Yeah, the iPhone was introduced. And from there, it was innovation after innovation. It was the iPhone, the iPad, it was Apple Music, it was Apple Movies, and they continue to innovate, and they become one of the more successful brands in the world and more profitable brands. Amazon started out in 1994 as an online bookseller. Can you imagine what life would be like if they had just decided that selling books was good enough? But they didn't. They continued to innovate, and they continued to grow their offering. And now they introduce such innovations like one-click shopping, right? Which is something that all brands aspire to have, one-click shopping. They also have Amazon Web Services and Amazon Home, like Alexa and the Echo and the Dot and all of these other innovations. And they continue to grow and innovate. Starbucks, you'll notice their logo up here. It doesn't have coffee on it. It used to be Starbucks coffee. But what they realized is that in order to continue to be successful and continue to grow, they needed to expand their product offering. So they went into food, and they went into tea, and they went into some locations, alcohol. But not just that. They even evolved the way that they talked about themselves and their positioning. I mean, there's a reason that we pay an exorbitant amount for a cup of coffee at Starbucks. It's a thing, right? So those are brands that were able to embrace change and be successful. Now let's take a look at a couple of brands that weren't able to. BlackBerry. So BlackBerry once was a titan in the executive world of business phones. Every executive out there had their BlackBerry. It was an email machine, and everything was good. But then something happened in 2007. The iPhone was introduced, and BlackBerry didn't move to the touch screen, and they failed to innovate. Next, we have Blockbuster. So Blockbuster, I don't know if you guys remember, I remember walking in Blockbusters as a kid, and looking at the movies and walking up and down the aisle, and it was a real thing. Well, they had an offer, or they had an opportunity to buy Netflix, and they didn't. Yeah. And so Blockbuster, they didn't innovate, and what ended up happening is they used to be a Blockbuster in almost every town, and now I think they're down to maybe one store. Garmin's another great example of a company who was just an absolute titan in both navigation software and navigation hardware. But with the introduction of smartphones, one of the things that happened is that they failed to introduce their software and integrate and innovate with those phone providers. And what happened instead is you have Apple Maps, and you have Google Maps, and you have these other navigation programs, and the actual navigator in the car almost became obsolete. So why are we talking about this? Why is this so important? Because innovation and change is a big part of growth. It's a big part of how you continue to be the best that you can be. Now, when you look at LifeWave, we've done a lot of changing over the years. We've done a lot of innovating over the years, and we'll continue to do a lot of innovating. But LifeWave, the products that we offer today and the products that we're going to offer in the future have not only the ability to touch and bless hundreds of thousands of lives, but the ability to change humanity. Think about that for a second. We are a technology company. And as we continue to evolve our brand, I'm telling you, the things that are coming down the road would blow your mind. Now, technology was at the very foundations of this company, and technology is going to be at the very core of this company's future. So let's take a little bit of a look at our product branding, first of all. So when you look at our product branding, take a look at 2011. Was anyone here in 2011? Raise your hands. Yeah? So we've innovated a little bit, and we've changed our product line now in 2023 to look the way that it does today. Now look at the enhanced aesthetics, the clarity, and the customer appeal. There's a new, fresh look, and David's vision and continued innovation has led to the addition of some pretty influential products like X39 and X49. Let's look at our visual brand evolved a little bit more. So these were on the top here. What you see are event branding pieces from 2006 to 2016. Was anyone at any of those? Okay. And then you look at the branding from the recent events here, and as you can see, it's a more consistent look and feel while still highlighting the uniqueness of each event. Next, we're going to take a look at the website, the old website versus the new website. And what you see here, again, is a visual brand that shows lifestyle imagery, that shows the patch placement guide. We talked about that a little bit. And continued innovation in the visual branding of LifeWave. Now, in addition to that visual branding, we need to continue to evolve our positioning and story. Just as Starbucks and Apple expanded their product lines and overall vision, so must we. And just as Amazon grew to be more than an online bookstore, we are so much more than just a patch company. To think of that way would be short-sighted, right? We are a technology company. And again, the products that we offer and the technology that we offer have the ability to change humanity, to change hundreds of thousands of lives. It already has millions of lives. And we need to embrace that. So let's take a look at some of that, because technology, again, was a core part of our past. So LifeWave was founded in 2002 by David, right? But before that, he owned a company. And hold on, I just have to read here because, let's see, they invested in diverse technologies like producing hydrogen and oxygen, multi-fueled bladeless turbine power generation systems, and metal combustion rocket engines. So just the stuff that we all work on in our spare time, of course. Aren't we so lucky to be led by such a visionary and such a smart individual? Absolutely. Then in 2008, David turned his attention to the up-and-coming field of stem cell research and the benefits that that could offer. And they started researching pulsed electromagnetic fields and what effect that had on stem cells. There were studies done at the National University of Ireland that found that it was effective. And all of that led to over 70 global patents. on medical devices that he has. Yeah, absolutely. Other research investigated the use of specific wavelengths for the improvements of copper peptides. I think David mentioned some of those. We all know what they are, the copper peptides, the ones that were discovered by Dr. Lauren Picard. Now, this study is known as PhotoBiomodulation, and it shows great promise for the future of medicine. LifeWave hopes to one day offer an electronic device capable of elevating these peptides as well. Why is this important? Now, by the way, this entire story is now on our website, on the X39 page, and you can start to understand and read about the foundations of LifeWave, the technology that got us where we are. And then in 2018, LifeWave had been continuing its research into phototherapy, and the emphasis of this research was to investigate better methods for enhancing the flow of energy in the body and significantly improving athletic performance. The result was X39. It was a new product for gently stimulating the skin with light for enhancing the flow of energy, improving strength, stamina, overall athletic performance, and even sleep. So who in this room has tried X39? Raise your hand. Woo! Absolutely, right? Every one of us has. Now let me ask you this. Who's seen an improvement in your vitality and wellness because of X39? Look around. Every single hand in this audience went up. Every single hand. That's the power of the patch. Use it because it works. I remember giving it to my mom, and I just gave it to her and said, "What is this?" And it was like my second day, and I was like, "I don't know, but I know you're supposed to put it on." And she came back in a week, and she goes, "What is this? What is this thing? And I need more." It's the power of the patch. It works. And when you have a product that works, that's the most important thing. Just like X39, the rest of our wellness products work in harmony with your body's natural energy, unleashing a reservoir of vitality and enabling your body to do what it was meant to do, only better, using phototherapy. And our journey is just beginning. All right, let's take a little bit of a look here at some of the tools that we're going to be enhancing because we are a technology company. So for example, in the US, we launched a beta program a couple of weeks ago on the InTouch app. We now have an instant enrollment feature where brand partners can send an enrollment link to someone. They can click on it in just a few quick clicks. They can be enrolled as a LifeWave brand partner. If you don't have the app, get it. And we hope to roll this out globally. We hope to continue to expand this. Additionally, for those that live in the US, you'll notice that this last week on Monday, we made some enhancements. We heard that we wanted it to be easier for us to enroll brand partners. So now when you click on the Join tab, it takes you directly into a brand partner enrollment. And we'll roll that out globally over the next couple of weeks. Additionally, we are launching product education toolkits. These are a one-stop hub for all things related to products. So we're going to have product imagery, product FAQs, social media assets, presentation decks, testimonials, and patch placement guides, and so much more. And this will all be available in your back office with updated branding and updated messaging here starting within the next couple of weeks around the globe. And we're going to continue on by introducing things like AI in the call center to help reduce call volume. We're going to introduce segmented audiences and being able to speak to you and communicate better to you, and so much more. Now, let's talk a little bit about global offices. So just like a Starbucks or McDonald's, if you were to walk into those around the globe, you would know where you were, right? So for those of you who have not had the opportunity yet to see our offices around the globe, I wanted to take you on a quick tour. So first and foremost, we have our offices in Asia. So as you can see here, this is Malaysia. We have an office in the Philippines. We have an office in Taiwan. We have an office in Thailand. We have an office in Japan as well. We have our European office where all of our products are manufactured. And then, I don't know if you guys knew this, but we just recently opened an office in Guadalajara, Mexico. Right? Just this last month. And it's a beautiful new office with beautiful new branding. So we're so excited to be there. But here's the problem that I see. I'm standing up here and we've kind of migrated the global headquarters to Utah over the last couple of years, and I'm looking at all of these beautiful offices, and you know what? I'm a little bit jealous because we don't have a beautiful office, a beautiful global headquarters. Well, coming in quarter one of 2024. We're going to offer a future global headquarters for LifeWave is going to be based in beautiful Draper, Utah, just outside of Salt Lake. Why is this important for you? Because you are all invited to come. There will be conference rooms and places where you can bring your teams and visit. And there's another really, really, really big surprise, but I can't tell you about it because it's not mine to tell. But David will tell you about it tomorrow. So I'm so excited for him to do that for you. All right. Finally here, just to wrap up, my friends, we are in an amazing company with amazing products that you can't find anywhere else in the world. Our brand will continue to evolve and has evolved. We're led by a visionary. David is a man of faith, and I promise you he sees things in the future that nobody else sees, and he is developing products and technology solutions to address those. I am so proud and so grateful to be a part of this company. Thank you for all you do, and thank you for your time.
What's up, LifeWave? All right, question for you, friends. When you're typing, texting, tweeting, TikToking, where's Bo? TikToking. There he is. Give it up for Bo, the TikToker right there in the front. Amen. When you're doing these moments online, and you're sharing your LifeWave story, your LifeWave products, your LifeWave journey, how persuasive would you say that you are? Does the way that you show up to the world from behind the screen persuade the human on the other side to stop their scroll, lean forward, and say those three magical words, "Tell me more"? Now, if you're not sure, good news, friends, that is our game plan over the next 39 minutes. I'm going to share with you exactly how you can attract more attention, increase your influence, and sell smarter from your very next message, meeting, or high-stakes moment. How's that game plan sound? Good, LifeWave? Fantastic. Before we dive in, if we have not met before, my name is Erin King, and I really believe that the best way to get to know someone is not looking at the company that they worked for or the company they started, but what really matters to me is the company that someone keeps. So if y'all don't mind, I would love for you to meet the three people that have had the biggest influence on my life. Starting respectfully at the very top of our household, LifeWave family, please meet the one and only Miss Betty White. Oh, do we have any dog parents in the audience? Okay. Not to get political, this is very polarizing. Do dogs belong in bed with humans? Correct. Should dogs be forced to dress in Halloween costumes with their humans? Yes, they sure should. Everyone knows that a WWF wrestler needs a referee, okay? And I heard this guy in the blue say, "No, don't worry, sir. Look, she loves it. She loves it." Next, I would love for you to meet the person who thinks they're the head of our household, the one and only Mr. Hartman King, who's my husband. And he is a southern boy. I don't know if we have any southeastern of the United States guys in the audience. Okay. So his middle name is Hartman, which sounds like a last name. He goes by it as his first name. I'm as confused as y'all. All that I know is that in the right lighting, he kind of gives off like this Bradley Cooper vibe, which I'm very much here for. Kind of like a busted Bradley Cooper. I'm into it. Okay. Finally, I would love for you all to meet the woman who's had the biggest impact on my life. LifeWave fam, please meet Nana. Nana came over on a boat from Ireland, which I've heard has been a hot topic today. She came over when she was just 18 years old by herself. She's the original baddie of our life. And she's been teaching me and my 36 first cousins, Irish Catholics, love making more Irish Catholics. She's been teaching us that when life gets hard, and this is my favorite quote from her, when the haters and the bullies and the jerks come out, the people who don't understand what you're chasing down, who don't understand why this business means what it does to you, who don't understand where your energy is going and the mission that you are on. When you get that pushback, she would always say to us, listen to me, love, it is always better to be someone's shot of whiskey than everyone's cup of tea. So that's Nana. That's Nana. So growing up, Nana and I were obsessed with this television show. I think it was the best show, arguably, of the 90s. We have a mixed bag of ages here. Probably Bo's a little too young for it, but I think your gorgeous mom is more my age and she'll remember. It was a little show called Saved by the Bell. Anybody remember this? Yes, okay. So, were you Team Kelly, Team Jesse, or Team Lisa? Okay, a little controversial. That's okay, we can do it later. I was Team Jessie. I was obsessed with her super sweet 90s perm, okay? I knew that in order to be like my idol Jessie Spano, I needed the same sweet 90s perm, but there was just one problem. I didn't get very good grades in school. My mom was like, I don't know if we need perm chemicals like that close to the brain cells, like maybe we can, and I'm like, fair enough, okay. So the perm is not happening, not on Helen's watch. So Nana, who had what the Irish call the gift of gab, that ability to speak in a way that is so compelling, people can't help but say, tell me more. She helped me persuade my mom to agree to a compromise. My hair was naturally stick straight on my face. I would not be allowed to perm that. But LifeWave fam, as a compromise, I would be allowed to perm just my bangs. Thank you. Yeah. Okay. All right. Now, obviously, the hair is viscerally upsetting on multiple levels, okay? Some people have suggested that I was actually the original inspiration behind the movie Joe Dirt, so we have that going for us. So what my introduction video did not say is I'm also the inventor of the perm mullet, part perm, part mullet coming together. Now, what my perm mullet taught me in life, you guys, is that when it comes to anything, the perm mullet is the danger of doing anything only halfway, okay? You gotta go full perm. We gotta go full perm. All right, but seriously, I think some of us might not realize it, but you might be wearing a little bit of a perm mullet yourself. Now, I think we can agree, the last 2 to 3 years have been a little hairy for most of the world. And maybe for your perm mullet is the place between yes and no. Today we're talking about how you can get more yes online, offline, and all the time. And for you, the crazy thing is, sure, you get yes. Tell me more about LifeWave. Tell me more about the product. Tell me your story, sure. But more often than not, you don't always get no. You just get that awkward, per mullet tension place, right? We're laughing, but it's the worst. Did you get the message? Did you see the DM? Did you see it? Did you see it? You gonna write back? Did you see it? And it's funny, but that's really frustrating because we are here on this earth, right? Mary Oliver, our one wild, precious life. So anytime that you're investing your precious moments into reaching out, into asking for the yes, into making an offer, trying to meet, telling your story, we want to close that per mullet space. We want to go full freaking perm, okay? So that's our goal today. So before we talk about how to get yes, let's talk about why we actually get no. Now, a study came out from Cornell University 3 months ago that found that on average, you and I are making about 35,000 decisions every single day. 35,000 decisions. Our poor brains are like a bouncer at a nightclub, the hottest nightclub in town, and there are 35,000 people just snaking around the block trying to get in. And our brains like on the list, on the list, on the list, trying to get us through our day, right? And so I do a lot of these talks all over the world. I've trained over 1 million sales professionals in over 10 countries. And I've asked people, why do you think you actually get no? And most people say the same thing. Well, Aaron, it's just because no one can pay attention anymore. They have the attention span of a goldfish, of a fairy dust, of a pixie dust, of a star. No one can pay attention, right? And the truth is, while our attention spans have gotten a little shorter, it's also true that 15 million of us binge watched the entire season 2 of Stranger Things in a mere 48 hours. Okay. Yellowstone, Bridgerton, where'd the hot guy go? We don't know. I didn't learn till season 2, okay? Our attention spans have gotten shorter, but that's not really what's standing between you and getting more yes in your business. It's because our attention spans have gotten shorter, so have our decision spans. Think of this morning. You're going through your email. You are ruthless, okay? You're like, yes, no, friend, foe, server, seller, in or out, right? You get a message and you're like, do I write back? If I do write back, what do I say? How do I start? Should I rewrite it? Maybe I'll call them later. Write back later? No, delete. Actually, take it out of the trash. Let's do it again. No. 12 decisions in 6 seconds. Okay? So we're tired. And this is why when you're going through your social media, you're going through TikTok. Obviously, we stop on Bose and we give it a like. But for a lot of us, you're on your social media and your brain is immediately trying to keep you safe, trying to get everyone from that 35,000 person line into the club if they're on the list, or sorry, thanks for playing. And so when you think about it, look at your social media. For me, like I'll open up my Instagram and I'll see this guy, right? Brachiosaurus Bob, okay? He's a vegan who volunteers. He only picks the winning team, right? He's always hashtag blessed, right? I'm like, Bob, I'm out. No, next. Maybe in your newsfeed, for you, the quick decision is like always on vacation Vicky. Okay? Yeah, she's in Italy again, okay? She's eating all the gelato, all the carbs, but they're like walking so much that she's like losing weight. It's so weird. It's like crazy, right? You're like, Vicky, who's paying for this? No. Maybe for you, you open your newsfeed and you see perfect mom Pam. Right? She's got like 97 children, but everything in her house is white. Just, how does she? You got good old just went to the gym, right? This guy hates shirts, but he loves a good bathroom mirror selfie. Maybe for you it's Deb. No explanation needed. Now, look, our friends on social media that our brain is saying no to, no, it's not that they're bad people. The reality is that when you and I get behind this screen to tell our story, there is a scientific phenomenon that psychologists use to describe why we behave so differently online versus an event like Heart to Heart here with our LifeWave family. It's called the online disinhibition effect. We're gonna call it the ODE mode for short. And the ODE mode explains why we are 34 times less persuasive from behind the screen than we are in person. We are 34 times more persuasive talking than we are typing. I think we can agree it's a Grand Canyon size gap between online you and offline you. So to close that gap, we have to understand what we're doing that's making us say yes to someone online, yes to their email, and what's making us say no. And the most important component that you can understand to change your response out of per mullet mode from meh to magic is this. Offline, we spend about 40% of the time talking about ourselves. It's like a tennis match, like the great scene from Bridesmaids, right? You're hitting the ball back and forth. How are you? How are you? What's going on? You keep the conversation moving, right? But when we go online and the ODE mode, like a Harry Potter invisibility cloak that blocks our good vibes, blocks our energy, blocks our nonverbal, what happens is immediately the ODE mode wraps around your brain and means that you are talking about yourself online about twice as much. So essentially, we're all out there online trying to be heard and get that attention and get that like and get that meet with me, but we're doing it like we're in selfie mode, okay? And we all love a good selfie unless you're using one of these in case we're judging you, but just to prove a point, friends, we're gonna bring the house lights up, okay? We're gonna bring the house lights up, AV team. And what you're gonna do is you're gonna grab your phone, you're gonna flip it into selfie mode. You're gonna grab a friend you haven't seen in a while, and then when I start going like this, you guys join me so we can go back to the goods of why we're doing this. Sound good? If you have a chatty neighbor, shush them, okay? So we're gonna do a quick photo shoot. I want Zoolander, skinny arms, grab a buddy next to you, make a new friend, flip it into selfie mode. We're gonna drop a beat so it's not awkward. And then when I go like this, join me so we can come back. Sound good? All right, let's do it. Oh, can you guys play some music? Turn up the music. Is it going? We should have a vibe music going, guys. AV, music, music, music. All right, take your best selfie. We're supposed to have a great music playing right now, but there we go.
Too far. Just have a little faith in me. When all the fears you have, I can't believe. Oh, I'll be standing by your side. Just have a little faith in me. Have a little faith in me. Just have a little faith in me.
LifeWave family, did you feel what just happened in this room? Did you feel it? Did you feel the energy come up? Did you feel yourself get so psyched? Like, honestly, not too bad for the old pandemic. Like, kind of killing it for 4:30 on a Friday, huh? Like, okay. Paris filter, we're in business, right? The truth is, friends, we usually say yes to ourselves. The truth that we all know to be true as professional sales, marketing entrepreneurs is that persuasion is personal. Getting someone to say yes to you is always personal. And so the very simple switch that you can make when you stand up and you walk out of here from your very next digital message, email, text, social, the very small change that you can make is quite simply is just to type more like you talk. Simply type more like you talk. Now, this sounds suspiciously similar to focus on your customer, which is duh, right? But we know the ode modes around our brain, it's trying to make us not good at this. And so over the last 15 years, I have worked with some of the world's biggest brands, everyone from the Oscars in Hollywood to the United States Navy. My agency was pay per performance. So if we didn't get yes, we didn't get paid. So I was very motivated to figure out, how can we not just get that one random yes here and there, that one post that killed, but how can we engineer on purpose, more systemically, more of the yes? So we looked through thousands and thousands of emails, social media posts, and what we found was there were 3 key elements in a specific order that when we would set up content, videos, emails, posts, asks, when we would set up those asks using these 3 elements in this order, it would dramatically increase our persuasion power. So we decided to call it the pub method, okay? Which is very appropriate for today. You pub before you publish. Why is it the pub method? Well, because Nana came from Ireland, and she used to always say her favorite thing about an Irish pub was that there were no strangers, only friends you haven't met yet. So the pub method is how you can turn strangers into friends. Now, most of the world does not know that the ode mode is happening. They're just out there like Brachiosaurus Bob and Always on Vacation Vicky and shouting about their life. And there will be people in their life that love them. Their same 50 to 100 people are gonna be like, get it, Vic. Love that you lost weight on pizza, right? Love that for you. There will be people just like you. You could literally post anything and they're like, get it. But if you want to get out beyond your existing sphere of influence, we have to break through the ode mode, close the gap, level up. And this very simple pub before you publish will help you to get out beyond that existing sphere of influence and turn more strangers into friends. Okay. So the way that most people start presentations, emails, social media posts are usually 99.99999 one of these. Okay, I'm so excited to reach out. Don't reach out. I wanted to reach out. I'm hoping to. My name is. So when we see the open like that, even getting on a stage like today, I'm so excited to be here. When our brains, remember, 35,000 people trying to get in, so we're trying to see, are we in focus or not? Is this for us or not? Persuasion is personal. So when we open up our email and we see these classic openers, that little preview, those little 10 words, our brain just sees selfie mode, right? This is why LinkedIn is a cesspool, because everyone's like, my name is, I wanted to reach out, buy my stuff, DM Deb, right? All about them. What you can do that's different is what I shared with my friend Amanda. So Amanda was working corporate America. So she is a single mom with 3 kids. She essentially had what a lot of us have had, which is an unexpected family situation. Her mom wasn't feeling great. She got diagnosed with an illness. And so Amanda was like, how can I take care of my mom and still provide for my family? She found a network marketing company and promptly began to piss off every single person in her newsfeed. She made some of the classic mistakes. Look, she's a go-getter. She was out there just doing her best. But my mom, who loves Amanda, actually stopped following her on Facebook. It was a lot of caps lock, emoji excessive use. She was trying her best, okay? But so one day, like it's funny now, but at the time she was really upset because she's trying. And so I said, Amanda, can you just show me what you're sending? Just give me a little example. So she shows me this post. Sappy post alert. When I decided to walk away, I had no clue what I was doing. I wanted more time with my family, flexibility, freedom from financial stress. Now, there is nothing wrong with this post. This post is fine. But have you seen something like this before on the internet? Yes or no? Okay, do you feel incredibly compelled to say, Amanda, I don't know you, Aaron does, but I just have to hear more. Tell me more. Do you feel like that in your initial reaction? Why? A landmine of I bombs and my bombs, okay? Now, this is where the pub method comes into play. I said, Amanda, all we have to do is begin to use this method that I've developed with my corporate Fortune 500 clients. I don't know network marketing very well, but it has to be better than where we are today. So I said, let's start with something truly personal to your audience. Now, the most simple switch you can make in the first 10 words of your post, of your email, of anything is to remember persuasion's personal. Who's in focus in the first 10 words? Because you only have that power of the preview. When you see an email, it's just the first couple words. Who's in focus, you or your audience? The ode mode wants it to be you, but now you know better, and now you can't unknow. So here are some options. Anything but the word I is going to stop the brain, see them in focus, and say, ooh, go on, more about me, okay? These are some magical phrases. So for Amanda, we switched it around, and I said, have you ever thought you had life perfectly planned out, but then something unexpected threw you way off your path? Does that happen to anybody? Anybody in the last, 200-300 years, Yeah. So the truth is, in the beginning on social media, for example, you want to show about you visually, of course. It's your profile. It's your products. It's your beautiful photos. It's your beautiful life. Yeah, show about you visually, but you want to open with something that types about them verbally, okay? You change the open, you change the game. Second step, I said, Amanda, let's make sure that we're offering something that is truly useful to your audience, truly useful. Now, what most people usually do on social media is kind of what our friends do. Nothing wrong with this. If we love them, we're going to say, tell us more. But if you want new people to get involved, you look at these people and you think, you know what? Here I am in Italy. Here I am on a jet. Here I am jogging in my white jeans with my 97 children, right? Here I am working out again, right? When you see these posts, we're kind of like, well, duh, right? We can see that. We can see that. What's truly useful is what your audience can't see from the image alone, okay? You have so many non-Googleable gems to share with them. Your personal story, your point of view, your life hack, your recommendation, your creative idea. The internet is full of a lot of parroting and copycats, but no one can see the world in the way that you do. When we're looking at these photos, for example, let's say we have Always on Vacation Vicky. What we didn't know is that Vicky's going through a really hard time right now. Her and her husband are not doing great. She's lost her essence. She's lost her identity. And so she traveled to her grandmother's town to feel where she comes from, to get a vibe on her roots. She wants to figure out what it's all about. And so she took herself on a solo trip to Italy. Now, do we care about Always on Vacation Vicky? Yeah, we're like, get it, girl. Maybe if you just went to the gym, maybe he had something happen with his dad where he had some kind of, an illness that is hereditary. And so for Jim, he was having a really hard time getting into a workout routine, even though he should. He found this great hack. He figured out that if he could just sleep in his gym clothes, put his shoes next to his bed, wake up and just step in, he was going to go. Well, then there he is now doing his laundry on his stomach and his numbers are down. They're looking great. Right? Now, do we love Jim? Can you see the difference? Here is Amanda. Imagine you're crushing your corporate career when suddenly you need more flexibility to care for an ailing family member. That's where I found myself 1 year ago. So what can't they see from the image alone? Finally, we want to keep it brief. Now, for many of us, LifeWave family, we are high energy, fun individuals. Brief, it's not our jam. It's not our jam. We got a lot to say. That's why we're in sales, right? So I'll give you a quick story. So my husband is from Alabama. And when I first met him, thank you, roll tide, I was meeting my future in-laws. They didn't know, but I did, because I was like, this guy's a tall drink of water. I need to lock him down ASAP. So went back to Alabama, huge table full of Southerners who are actually the greatest storytellers, the right amount of detail, the accent. I come from Irish people. We're epic storytellers in the long, literal sense of the word, where we tell every single detail that no one cares about. Okay. So I'm telling this story. I think I'm killing it because I'm a pro speaker. And I can see my future husband, and he's going like this. And I'm like, I don't understand. He's like, babe, I'm like, to my future mother-in-law, Mrs. Charlotte Macaulay King of the Birmingham Kings. She looks at me, catches my eye, and she goes, bless your heart, darling. He is telling you you need to land the plane. Land the plane. We gotta land the plane. Deb doesn't land the plane. Okay. How do you land the plane? The ode mode's wrapped around your brain. It's like Dear Diary mode. We can't see someone going, We can't see that. So we're like, paragraph 6, and then write chapter 7. So if you want to land the plane, the very simple way to bring it home, land the plane, is this. You want to ask yourself, A or B? Is it this date or this date? Do you like this product or this product? Do you have this vibe or this vibe? My personal favorite, yes or yes. So do you prefer to feel energized or focused? Yes or yes. So for Amanda, we put this. If life has thrown you a curveball lately, which are you choosing to embrace? Faith or fear? Faith or fear? Faith or fear, LifeWave? Faith or fear? Come on, people! Faith, amen. And so here's what happened. We posted the same image of her and her beautiful mom with a pub caption. Now, reach on Instagram is a whole other conversation. It has to be the right time, the right hashtag, the right news cycle. Is Mercury in retrograde again? Why is it always in retrograde? We posted it, and I want you to look at the number of likes. Now, likes don't pay the bills, but they are an indicator of the yes that you are attracting to your hard-created content, okay? Look at the same image, pub caption we just walked through, and look at the difference between 19 likes and 10 times the yes. Can you see the difference? So you want to look at your next upload, and you want to say, am I being personal? Am I being useful? Am I being brief? So in verses saying, like, for example, we'll talk about it in a second, actually. We know we have to go full perm. We've agreed to that. Yes, full perm. Are we on the full perm train? So here's my challenge to you. If you all take the selfie that you just took earlier and you post it anywhere on social media, you can tag me, you can tag LifeWave. We're going to pick 10 people, 10 of the best selfies that are practicing the pub method, and I'll give you a little secret how to do it in a second. We're going to give away free signed copies of my book, Digital Persuasion, in the next hour, okay? So here's the big little secret here. Most people, when they're at an event like this, are like, I'm in Orlando and you're not. Right? Because you're kind of like, it's kind of fun, right? So here's the thing. What I challenge you to do is let's just practice the first step. Wherever you like to play online, just practice sharing an image of you and your friend, you and your buddy. Yes, share you, but can you flip the first 10 words to make sure that your audience is the one in the selfie? Because persuasion is what? Persuasion is what? Personal. So flip the first 10 words. Have you ever wanted to skip an event and almost not shown up, but then you did and you were so glad you made that choice? Right? Imagine that you were in a tough season and you had a lot of doubts about diving into this incredible opportunity, but then luckily you listened to your gut. And it takes guts to go with your gut. So there you are. You haven't seen members of your team in real life in a year, 2 years, 6 months. You hug them, and gosh, doesn't it feel good to be in real life again? When you can change the first 10 words, you can flip the focus. So now your audience, you're bringing them here to Orlando with you and allowing them to say, yeah, I see myself in that journey. Tell me more. Make sense? Yes or yes? All right, cool. All right, so speaking of selfies, because some of you are like, Aaron, this is great. Love the pub method. I'll try it, but I'm not really a selfie person. Anyone in the room not a selfie person? Yeah, okay, keep it real. It's okay. No shame in that game. Here's the thing. What if I told you that a selfie actually changed the course of my entire life? Before Will Smith slapped Chris Rock in the face at the Oscars, this had been the most famous moment that the Oscars had ever seen. You guys remember this? A bunch of celebrities got together, they broke the internet. What you can't see from this photo is that just 6 months before it was taken, I was sitting at my old, cold, wooden kitchen table with my head like this, and I was crying my eyes out. I couldn't pay a $100 cell phone bill. I'm going to back it up for a second. I don't know what your money story has been in your family, but I am the granddaughter of 4 Irish immigrants, and they came here to find a new life, a better way. And so growing up, we had a lot of love, no one was hurt, we had food, we got to go to school, we had a wonderful childhood, and growing up in an immigrant household with 36 first cousins, it was a soundtrack of scarcity. Does that make sense? Like, we were safe, but if you were going to the field trip to the aquarium, no Free Willy plush toy, right? If you were, at pizza on Friday night, don't order Mountain Dew, just water. In high school, you can borrow the car, but rental car rules. Return it, fill it up. So it was just this soundtrack of not enough, not now, not today. And so I remember thinking to myself, everyone's talking about, my mom had to ask for money from my dad had to ask from his boss, my grandmother had to ask from my grandfather had to ask from his boss. Raise your hand if you are someone in your family that is the first person to break a generational soundtrack of scarcity and own your own destiny. Hands up nice and high and proud, and look around. Look around. How did we do this? Well, we did it a couple ways. For me, when I couldn't pay that bill, I had started 2 companies, exhausting, expensive failures. The third one, I tried to start a social media company from my kitchen table, and it was the last chance. This bill could not be paid, and it was that moment that we all have where we ask ourselves, you know what? Right now, I'm finding myself at an intersection. It's either the intersection where this is God, the universe, this is a sign. The dream is in you, but maybe it's not for you. It's time to fail fast and move on, okay? Or maybe over here, it's the moment in every Oscar-winning movie where it's darkest before the dawn, where the hero gets up one last time and tries, and that is when they achieve their breakthrough. Now, when we hear these stories, it sounds so simple to go this way, but if you've ever known the fiscal heaviness and fear and burden of feeling insecure, you know that that path is a whole lot more realistic, yes or no? And so in that moment, I did what I think we should all do when we're at a crossroads where it is hard in real life to know what to do. I went to shower church. Tell me you don't get the best ideas ever in the shower. I'm not wrong. Yeah. Exfoliations equal epiphanies. That's science. Okay. So I'm in shower church. The downloads are coming as they do. And I remember what Nana used to always say. She would say, love, when we struggled coming to this country, we would always tell ourselves the stars will align. The stars will align. Now, I don't know what your mantra is when you're in a tough situation, when you want to quit, when you want to give up. Is it faith over fear? Is it progress over perfection? Mine was the stars will align. So I kept trying to find a client, just one big client. You know how it is. I just need that one influencer, that one person who knows 10 people, that one yes in a sea of no to trigger a momentum that I am ready for. And so for me, I was getting rejected, shot down. No, not happening. Can't pay the bills. The stars will align. The stars will align. The stars will align. And you keep going to almost a delusional point where you're asking yourself, when is it enough? One pub message led to a meeting, which led to a moment, which led to my little teeny company of me and an unpaid intern that I met at a dive bar bathroom. Like, we were just at my kitchen table working on social media for like terribly small clients. One message, pub message, talking personal about our dogs, useful, an idea on how to make it more engaging because her event was too long, and brief. Can you meet Tuesday at 10 or Thursday at 12? And what she wrote back was Thursday. It led to a meeting, which led to a moment, which led to me back at that same old, cold wooden table with my head pressed against, but I was crying for a different reason. I had somehow been hired by a little agency to run social media for the world's largest event, the Oscars in Hollywood. Yeah, it happened. So the big day arrives, I recruit all my friends, we're working super hard, we're getting ready, I'm on the red carpet, I see my birthday twin, Reese Witherspoon, I'm like, Reese, like she doesn't care, she's like, whatever. So we're there, and we're working on social media, and we're helping people, and we're supporting them. The stars will align, the stars will align, the stars will align. You guys, on my watch, as the person in charge of millions of conversations, which I had no business being in charge of, this selfie goes viral on my watch, and I realized we have to be so careful. The words that we use, the language, not just the words that we share out into the world, but the words that we tell ourselves in our darkest moments, when we are crying, when we're not okay, when we don't want to get back up. The language that you use, that you tell yourself, matters specifically because the stars had quite literally aligned. So this one breakthrough led to changing my life, changing my business. But for you, this is what is possible. Your Oscar moment is possible when you remember the messages that you send, they're not just messages. The messages you send are moment makers. And any message at any moment can unlock your Oscar opportunity. So what is that for you, LifeWave fam? What is the Oscar opportunity that you are deciding to unlock? Not someday, not when, but when you get up and you walk out of here and you leave. What is your version of that moment that you need to break through, to achieve that momentum? Let me ask you this. Why do you think you haven't? Has it been a limiting belief? Something from your childhood where someone said it's not for you? Has it been an old habit that you know you gotta quit, but you just can't seem to set it free? For you, is it a relationship? One that served you for a while, but it doesn't serve you as well in this season. What are you afraid to set free? I want you to be brave and call it to mind right now. Will you set it free? What is the one teeny tiny little moment that you could try? Is it a Google? Is it a start something? Is it a get up out of here and try to post personal, useful, and brief messages? Feel brave in an environment where we have AI and ChatGPT and terrible, awful global news, and it's so easy to get sucked into it and feel irrelevant and feel insecure and feel not enough. We decide to focus on what you can control, which is how you choose to show up. What is that one action you will take? And finally, friends, I want you to imagine that you're receiving. Imagine that you receive that moment for you, for your family, for the inner child that's watching, for the other women and men and children in your life that you are setting a money story, a life story, an impact story for, not just for you, but for everyone that is watching you. A lot of people online have a lot to say about what you do and how they feel about it. But you and I both know, as Nana said, that they're not the ones in the arena. You are the one in the arena. You are the one in the arena. And so, LifeWave fam, it is my deepest hope that you will remember to flip the focus, type a little more like you talk. Understand your Oscar opportunity is a message away, because messages are moment makers, and you are more than ready. You are born ready for the moment that you were destined to make. So LifeWave, my name's Erin King. Thank you so much. All the success, online, offline, all the time. Your stars will align. Your stars will align. Let's go. Let's go. It's time.
I'm a sailor in pain, and I lost my leg.
Have you had a good day, LifeWave? Tomorrow morning, we will be starting at 9 o'clock sharp. The doors will open at 8:30. We can't wait to see you there. Tonight, there is an international reception at the Hilton Orlando just around the corner that begins at 6 p.m. in the Orange Ballroom. Senior presidential directors may have their portraits taken between 6:30 and 8:30 p.m. And enjoy your evening, enjoy your dinner, and we'll see you tomorrow. Thank you, LifeWave.